All right, it's Tuesday, May 28th. This is an end of the day SPY recap. And after the 3-day weekend, we come back with kind of a neutral day with an up bias. You can see it's kind of a two-up day that try to move a little lower, but then close with a bit of a hammer look to it, although it's red. And, this kind of price action, you kind of expect to test higher just given the look of the bar, but you never know for sure. And what you still don't know for sure is if I spread out the 15-minute chart here over these days, we're right in the middle of this trading range that I've identified now for almost, 7 or 8 days. You can see the highs here and the lows down here, and we're right in the middle of it. And we probed up a little bit last week, we probed down, and we're just kind of chopping in the middle. So a lot of the context in play is how are we going to get out of this range, and we got to go day by day and see opening price action. And that's why today, even though it didn't offer much opportunities, it was still actually not a bad day to trade given nothing much was happening. If I look at the 15-minute chart, which I'll go over in a minute, you could see here, essentially it opened here and it closed right near the open. So there wasn't much going on, but it also didn't hurt you in any way. At least according to the way I view price action, and I'll go over that in a second. So again, we come into the day with an inside bar here that we discussed at the recap video last week. Are we going to break above it and then work towards those highs? Are we going to break below it, work towards the low? Are we going to go either way and then fail and come back through the range? That's the context, and none of it is crystal clear until price action unfolds. So if it broke to the upside, you really want to see that strong follow through to know you might get a breakout. Downside, see the strong follow through. Anything not strong, maybe you're going to come back through the halfway point of that bar, and maybe that's going to happen really quickly, or maybe that's going to look like it's just not having the momentum the upside, so maybe it comes back down. And that's kind of what we had today. Nothing crystal clear, but enough, volatility and price action development that made it not too tricky in terms of, trading, even though it didn't amount to all that much today. So let's go over that. On the the pre-market range was between the blue lines here on the 15-minute chart. If I kind of move that down a little bit, that was the highs and lows. So you could see right out of the gates, we weren't breaking above that high and breaking out of that, inside bar to the upside. And if anything, the first bar was red and then it moved lower. I just shot a video how I bought puts, and I shot a whole morning video that I was anticipating taking out the pre-market lows down here, seeing maybe do we come all the way down through the halfway point of the prior day and get some kind of negative day. But I knew that, after this first inflection point, that may or may not develop. So I scaled out here, and then I discussed how I immediately broke even on the rest of the trade. Very small gain here on the puts, because my context was I knew it had to fail and get through the halfway point of the prior day. And once I saw it not doing that, and after hitting its inflection point, I exited. I then shot a video how I actually decided, all right, well, if it's going to come down here out of the gates and not get to the halfway point of the prior bar, just take out liquidity and have one. This was the key thing. It had one move down in here. I forgot the exact bar, and then it failed, and then it came back up. I decided to buy calls instead, thinking, all right, this could be the low of the day right here. And I bought calls, expecting it to kind of test the first bar high and maybe the pre-market high, and maybe this two-up day would eventually work up there, and even though it started off a little bit down. But then I watched it slowly, not going anywhere, grinding up. Other stocks were having trouble. I saw that in the big picture. And on the red bar, I shot a video how I broke even on that trade. I said that was it. Morning is over. I can't tell exactly what's going on, and you can watch that video. Finally, as price, then, I discussed how maybe we'll still hold in here and break up, and that's okay. I'll wait for tomorrow, to see how this day unfolds, or that maybe we can come down and take the lows of the day. And what happened was price came down, paused, and then it had this right in here, this move that it looked like it was going to take out the lows of the day. And I wanted to, instead of buying the SPY puts, I went to the QQQs at this point. I just saw that unfolding to the downside here with a pivot, and I figured that would take out its low and low of the day. And I shot a video how I bought puts here, again, scaled out, and then I took a gain on this trade overall, because I knew that at this point, even this index wasn't getting to the halfway point of the prior day, and then it had the big green reversal. So I actually took not a bad gain on that trade, and that's it. And again, on the SPY, it's not surprising that after kind of trying this SPY, if you would have bought puts expecting to get the low of the day, you had even a better move to the downside, and it did kind of take out the halfway point of the prior day. But obviously, it didn't follow through to what would be the target, and that's kind of a sign when you have a potential two-up failure that can't even reach its target. That means, be ready to go the other way. And that's what we'll get into tomorrow. I'm excited. I've still been biased to the buy side this whole way up. I'm looking for failures to the downside to get long is the best trades. And maybe we got one today. We'll find out tomorrow. So again, not surprising at all. We kind of paused here at some point and by the end of the day, we came all the way back up in the last 3 or 4 bars. And again, shouldn't be surprised at that, even though it's deemed like a negative day. You just know we're in an overall choppy environment here in the middle of a range. You knew that the QQQs weren't lining up with the SPYs. They weren't as weak. They stayed above the half point of the prior day. The SPYs were a little bit weaker, but nevertheless, the whole market wasn't in sync. And again, just not surprising you weren't going to get some strong follow through with the overall trend being up, 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 and knowing that at any moment buyers are going to come in. So I kind of like this close for upside tomorrow. We'll see how things open. We'll see where it goes. The weekly chart technically is starting a little red. It's just inside of last week. Again, I just see this whole thing as moving up, 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 up. This last week was just neutral. Whether we take out that low or probe it or test it, I just see this as kind of pausing action after taking out all-time highs for an eventual move higher. That's kind of what, at exhaustion risk, you get a little bit of pausing, and then either it completely reverses or it pauses and then builds up energy to go higher. That's what I think is developing until proven otherwise. So we will see what happens tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow should be a better day, hopefully to the upside. That's what I'm looking for, but we'll just have to see if price action gives us those opportunities.